you do a quick intro about like your team,
Yeah, for sure.
your market, what you're working on, and we'll go from there.
Okay, buddy. Sounds good. Everybody,
And you got to
look.
tell us about all that damn wine behind you too.
Okay, yeah, for sure, for sure. So, honestly, first things first, guys. Thank you very much for hopping on today. Like up here in Canada, by the time 4 o'clock comes, it's like everybody's like it's like Italy. It's like a siesta or something. Everybody checks out. Nobody's answering their phones. We got a Leaf game on tonight against the Florida Panthers. So I really appreciate you guys all, taking the time out of your day to listen to me talk, about growing your business. And what we've seen in the last 12 months, for a lot of people, is a very challenging year. And this is not for me to, get cocky. It's just for me to set the stage of, kind of the stuff that we'll go over today. Last year in Ontario, Canada, at least, was the worst in terms of volume, in terms of units sold ever, at least in the last 25 years in Canadian real estate. So it was dead. From March to December, it was dead. And we actually had our best year. Our brokerage had our best year. And all we can say as to the reason why is that and again, I know there's people like Broke Agent, people like Matt Leonetti, they've been on your show. They always make fun of people who say back to basics. And don't worry, I'm not going to leverage that word or saying too much tonight, but I can attribute our entire success into basically that one mindset that success leaves clues. So if you're going out there wondering what to do, chasing the next shiny object, looking at the next piece of technology, and again, this is nothing about our TikTok and Instagram realtors. I consider myself one as well, but it's not about like just how many videos can I put out and point to this, point to that, put a montage together. It's not about that. Those are to complement your business, but it is about the fundamental basics of sales, relationships, and just how to get in front of people, create an educational value for your clients and other realtors. If you're looking to grow your team, that's what we're talking about today. Recruiting is a big aspect. They're not going to be jumping to your team if you don't have the stats or a growth plan prepared. So that's if you wanted to fast forward to where we're at today, 2021, we started at 1.8% out of all of the realtors. When I was on your show, that's the stat we had. As of right now, we actually got all the stats back from last year. We were 0.8%, and as of this year, we're number 2 out of the entire board.
Holy crap!
Incredible.
Yeah, I think we're up to 40 transactions so far this year. And in some markets, that's amazing. Some markets, maybe some of you are like, that's terrible. So we're up to 40 so far. And then we are about 30 million or so in sales volume.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Thank you.
Let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
I think, does it pay to maybe just first segue into why you started a team and how, it can be this sexy term, right? Like, I want to create a team. I know there's brokerages out there, I won't name any, but Keller Williams specifically, who tries to sort of like, in my opinion, get people to create a team before they even have much of their own track record. So, who's a good candidate to start a team? Why did you start your team? And maybe are there any signs of reasons that you shouldn't be a team leader?
Yeah. There's plenty. And I say that just because that was me, man. That was me. So I did everything that you just said. I started a team based on vanity, based on the fact that I might have went to too many Keller Williams conferences. I don't know. I would never join their brokerage, but I always looked up to them
Sure.
because I always looked up to KW because they had the teams. They had admin training. They had this, they had that. And I was like, okay, look, great. Let me try to model off some of their practices, some of their teams. So I instantly in my second year, just decided when I changed to my new brokerage that was going to be my shtick. I'm going to come in as the new guy, start a team, start, just killing the deals and making sure that everybody knew that I was the guy who started the team in the second year and became successful. And I messed up bad. Like I had no idea what I was doing, number one. Number two, I thought my sales training and the systems I had based on my last job, LA Fitness, put me into a position where, okay, if I'm a GM of a gym, I'm sure I could figure out this real estate thing. And I didn't have the proper systems in place like any other realtor who has a team now should have in terms of, do you have a licensed assistant? Do you have an assistant? Do you have somebody helping you put your transactions together? Do you have somebody, taking over your business when you're busy? Because that's the biggest thing too, is that, okay, you might be a really busy realtor like I was, but when you're getting busy, how do you help save those deals that fall through the cracks because you don't have an organized system in place? So I think if the people who are in the position that you're doing deals, you've got the back end set up, now you can start growing. My problem is that I brought on 3 realtors before I even had an admin. And I was only doing like 20 deals a year. Now, again, I don't think that there's a deal number. Okay. I think it's when you're ready. I do also say that by the time you realize you need an assistant, it's probably a little too late and you should have got one, maybe a few months prior. However, honestly, I think that's the direction you need to go, is you need to start small. You need to start with, okay, you could start with a buyer's agent just to take your overflow. That's what I did on my second team because I was just kind of testing the waters. However, if I had to redo it all, it would be to hire a full-time admin. Now, a little tip that
I like how he says admin. That's the Canadians
admin
coming out of you.
Yeah. What do you guys say? Admin? Admin?
Yep.
So, and I honestly, I think this is from Keller Williams, is that I think it's in the Millionaire Real Estate Playbook, I think, is where you don't look at that $30,000 full admin as an expense, a yearly expense. For one, you look at it as an investment. Number one.
Sure.
Number two, you got to divide that by 12 months, then divide it by 4, divide it by 52 weeks, or however you want to do it, and find out that weekly number and say, okay, this is an investment of $1,000, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, whatever it is. And once you start breaking down your expenses that way, it makes it a little bit easier. However, just to wrap it up there is that I think if you're a team leader listening to this right now and you're around that 20, 30 deal mark, it's not necessarily wrong or right to bring on a buyer's agent, but you have to have the back end figured out first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Those
And just to go back on what I said before, I wasn't knocking on Keller Williams. I just think that there's so many people over there with, like you said, you had 20, you were doing 20, 30 deals consistently per year. Then you decided to grow the team, right?
Right.
Or at least that should be the target number. I think that there's some people over at Keller Williams who are growing a team when they've done 3 transactions. That's the only thing I was
naturally
poking at. Okay. So you decide to grow the team. Go ahead, Kara.
Yeah. So aside from like the systems and everything you were mentioning, one thing that we really appreciated about you, Andrew, is that a lot of your business comes from referral business. And it's like you were intentional about the content you were creating to attract that. Did that happen accidentally? Can you walk us through how that started?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's another reason why I started the team at first, is because I thought I was becoming bigger than I actually was. So my self-awareness was just completely ass backwards, I guess you could say. So that's why I started the team, is because I'm like, look at me, I've gotten all this business from all the realtors. I'm in a spot now where, hey, I should be presenting as a team. So how that actually happened, how I started to market to other realtors, is that I realized super quick that I'm like, okay, look, I see this guy sign, 20 times in my neighborhood at any given time. Or I'll see this guy 5 times on a bench. Or I'll see this woman on a bus, whatever. I knew that how am I going to get people to know, like, and trust me in my local market when I'm trying to talk to them about my services and how great I am, when they're like, buddy, we've never heard of you before at all. And again, sometimes that's a good thing. But for me, I realized very quickly that if the local market already knows that I'm not actively selling as much as I project I am. I'm not lying to people, but there's a different way of how you project this perception of yourself that you want your clients to see. So I knew that I had to market myself outside of my market. So that means that I'm running ad campaigns in Toronto, which is 2 hours away, in Muskoka, which is 3 hours away, in Oakville, Burlington, which is an hour away, trying to attract buyers and sellers. Now, that didn't work, by the way, to attract buyers and sellers. Now it does, because I'm creating a brand for myself as the transition kind of guy. However, what happened as an offshoot of that was that the referring agents were calling me. The calls were starting to come in. Hey, look, I don't know anybody in Niagara. You're out there. You're posting every day. You're celebrating other businesses, and that's just kind of how it happened. They stumbled on me, and that's kind of how we steamrolled into what we've got now, where I have a 90% agent-to-agent referral basis, and I did 51 last year.
Yeah, which is
51
incredible.
agent
And the funny,
referrals.
Yep.
51 agent referrals.
51.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Thank you.
What do you think the average team does?
In terms of referral?
Agent to agent referrals.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they did any more than 5 a year.
Yeah, I would say it's probably 3 or 4. So to
Yeah,
do
I know
51 is incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So are you the only realtor in your town?
No, there's 1,700 of us, plus all the bigger city agents that come here and with their clients because they don't want to refer. Hey, that's their business. That's their business.
Yeah.
That's
The interesting part is that, like, a lot of people, like especially agents, majority of their following are other agents. So like the first, I guess, the reactions, like, why the hell are all these agents following me? But then you figured out really quickly that they're valuable for referrals, and then you can also spin it to the fact that you're a North American realtor, that you can connect the product that you have that you're selling across, the whole North American continent, right?
That's right.
So that's super valuable. So what were some of the challenges? I can imagine that some sellers were just like, well, you have this following, why aren't you like posting my property? Like, part of that comes in with managing expectations and being intentional with that as well. Now,
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I know why you're bringing this up is because you know me, you follow me, you know that I don't post a lot of listings. So for a guy who has a team who's number 2 in the entire district, and probably does, we have 22 active listings at any given time. And we usually have 10 to 15 in the pipeline. So we did over 100 deals last year. We're on track now to do about 130 this year if we keep it up. And you're right. I have sellers calling me, Andrew, why didn't you post it's been 3 weeks since you post my listing, if I posted it at all. And mainly, and the reason why is because we attract higher quality leads based on the content that we're posting than we would ever get if we were just posting our deals or our listings. And the reason why, and I explain this to the sellers, I say, look, a guy with 30,000 followers, 50,000 across all social media platforms, you would think that I'm walking into every listing presentation saying, hire me because I have the social media following. I understand it. We're going to post it all over our social media. We're going to get you this many views, et cetera, et cetera. I don't say that at all. Why would I say or brag about something that is of no value to the sellers initially? Because I'm not spending any money on that. Everybody has a social media account. Everybody, but the biggest thing too is, let's not kid ourselves. Buyers buy our agents, and okay, do we double end the deals all the time? Yeah, of course. But for 90% of the buyers, it's the buyer's agent who brings the buyer. All they need is the MLS. Okay. Right. And now there's some people on the call that say, yeah, but Andrew, people message me all the time for the price, for this, for that. Okay, great. Look at all the deals you do and tell me exactly how many came directly from Instagram or social media. The number is very, 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 very low related to or relatable to the actual MLS system at realtor.com or realtor.ca. So I try to leverage my other skills inside of those presentations other than social media, because everybody's got social media accounts, and I guarantee you they're a topic of everybody's listing presentation.
Sure.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. And a big thing too is based off of your content in general, it's like more about lifestyle. So you're attracting people in general and you're able to direct them to those properties. And so it's like almost like a general funnel versus specifically just pinpointing one and posting it out in comparison to everything else. It almost looks like you're just desperately trying to get rid of it. So it puts them in a different kind of situation overall. Can you walk us through how you built this brand? Because you do a really good job of building a community and actually creating these relationships more than anybody else that we've seen.
Well, I honestly, I think it just comes down to being consistent with it as well. You know, I was at our franchise owner, we call ourselves head coaches, by the way, for some reason. And what we do is we all got together and we just brainstormed. We had speakers, we had our director of franchising come out and basically just, break down our business plans. And what we realized was that it's the consistency in what we're doing, and that from a recruiting standpoint, from a referral standpoint, from a client standpoint, that you can convert a hot lead in 6 hours. You can't convert a realtor because unless they have a client for you, and it's a one-off. Most of the people who sends me a referral, it's not somebody who just got a random lead and said, "Oh my God, you're moving to Niagara. Who do I call?" And then Google, and then there's Andrew. He's a hot lead. He better answer. It's always been from people who've been following me for 12 months or more. So it's just like anything. You have to put that consistent work into everything. And another thing that got brought up in that summit was that, okay, Andrew, I want you to tell me exactly how many hours you work on your business a week. And I said, well, look, buddy, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I check in at 9 at the office and I go home at 4. He's like, okay, so you're working what? I'm like, to do like 20 hours, 30 hours a week. I'm like, that can't be right. He's like, so then I started to think about it. I'm like, look, okay, so I'm actually doing my brokerage or my team business. It can be directly related to those, 8 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours in that day. However, as soon as I go home, I'm on my phone for hours. I try to do my best with my family and around dinner time and stuff like that. And I do cut it off around 8 or 9. But what I realize is that how I am able to cultivate and foster these types of relationships with my referral agents over the course of 12, 24, 72 months, it's because I answer them all as fast as possible. I provide an answer to their question because most of these people are asking me a question. That's usually, it's not just direct engaging like, hey man, great house. Hey buddy, great car. Hey, I love your suit. We do that as well. But most of this time I'm answering questions that are coming into me directly. And realtors are just like clients. If they're asking you a question, they're probably asking 5 other people because we can't wait. We all have ADHD. We all have some type of problem with us in terms of attention deficit. So it's been my job to effectively get back to anybody within a certain amount of time and, with as much value as possible.
Yeah,
awesome.
No, that's solid. And if someone was to ask you, or let's just see in your situation, how long did it take you to build up to the point where you were getting 51 referrals?
So honestly, my first year in real estate, I did what? 14 deals in my first year, maybe 17. And I did maybe 30-40% of those were agent-to-agent referrals. Then by my second year, it was 60%. And then after my by the time my third year start, I never got below 80% again.
Wow.
Awesome.
A lot
So
of
are you
So if
realtors.
someone,
Go ahead.
Good.
A lot
Are
of
you
my
so if someone
realtors.
came to you,
Are
I'll,
you
I'll go.
strategically trying to align yourself with agents in particular markets and areas because you know a lot of the buyers come from those areas, the buyers in your market?
I'll be completely honest with you, and this might I get invited to do podcasters talk all the time. And they're like, "Man, what a great strategy you have!" And yes, there's a strategy to some degree, but I'll be quite honest. As somebody who's heavy into the referral space, I know when people, you can smell it. You know, it's like when a random recruiter comes to your DMs. It's like when you have no
Yeah.
relationship with this person, and it's just, it's like, hey, how's it going? Okay, I know where this is going. So no, I don't do that either. It's creating value, engaging with the people first. It's there's no necessarily, I don't pinpoint people or markets.
nice.
Interesting.
So now if someone came to you in the first year and they're like, hey, if you had to give me a plan to create a system where I'm able to get 80% agent to agent referrals, what would be like the 3 or 5 steps that you'd walk them down in creating a plan to do so?
Well, I think number one is you got to get super, super clear on what your niche is, how you break down that niche, or super niche, as I like to call it. Like, it's not enough to just say residential. You would have to say, okay, first time home buyer residential or military transfer residential. Get super passionate about something. Like, hey guys, I work with hockey teams. I'm a skateboarder. I like equestrian. I like to work with horses. You got to get super niched, because when people like realtors are searching, they're saying, okay, this is one of my best clients. He wants a farm. He's got horses. Like, I need to make sure, because a lot of us, I know somebody, and again, hey, this is nothing wrong with this. We all know we get paid based on referrals, and people want that extra 25%, which is understandable. That's why we all do it. But they want to make sure they're passing it off to somebody good. So in the middle of conversation, they'll be like, "I've got somebody for you." Right then, they might not know, but they were thinking about that paycheck at first, and then they start thinking about it and be like, oh, "Okay, I got to get them somebody good." So what they're going to do is they're going to Google Niagara-on-the-Lake equestrian realtor. And you better have, if this is your niche and you're choosing that as your niche, you best believe you better be doubling down on that marketing to establish that niche, because that's how majority of people are going to know, like, and trust you, by understanding your niche. Luckily, I'm known as the wine guy in Niagara-on-the-Lake. I'm just fortunate that wine in Niagara-on-the-Lake, it's like Napa Valley. They go hand in hand. So it's not like I'm an alcoholic drinking wine on Instagram every night. But, I'm posting walking around a vineyard. I'm posting the new winery that just came up. I branded, let me try to find one.
Where are you, by the way, right now? Is this, you have a wine cell?
Niagara-on-the-Lake. We're at the boardroom in our office.
Sick.
Nice.
It says Revel on it.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that people say, hey, I don't know who this Andrew Perrie guy is, but I have buyers looking in Niagara-on-the-Lake. I've seen his marketing. I've seen his ads. I've seen his name. If I have a buyer in that market, I'm going to call him, just because you've made a name for yourself.
Absolutely. And
what? I think we all have agents in our own market who do a good job at marketing, or maybe I'll say a great job at marketing. And sometimes I think I've been like envious of them, or have said, hey, you know what? Maybe you lose a listing to that agent and you say, you know what, shit, if I were just an average seller in my market, I would probably call that realtor because I see their signs everywhere. So, it's, and you respect it and you appreciate it. So I think you've done just a great job at specifically marketing to other realtors, because you've seen the value. So that's great.
Yeah, it's not only that though, it's also cultivating those relationships, because when we met Andrew, we were like, oh, we could have done this virtually. He was like, no, face to face. It's you feel the essence a lot more. And I was like, but he genuinely meant that. And a lot of people that we've had on the episodes that know Andrew will only speak highly of him. So you can see that that's a priority in creating that. So it's almost like the social media platform is like the gateway drug, and Andrew's
Yeah.
addicted to making relationships. So all
I
right,
really
so
tried
step number
hard
one.
to not get him to come into the studio. I was like, dude, it's cool. We don't want you here. We don't need you here. And he's like, no, I'm coming in. So
You know what the funny thing is, though, is that, like I told you guys, but I don't know if I ever told you the extent of it, but the morning I woke up to leave, I was dead, like sick as a dog. Pretty sure I got strep throat. I had to take penicillin after that and amoxicillin, and it took me 12 hours to even get there, but I did, and I showed up, and I was a little when I saw the listen to the podcast after, I was like, hey, I'm very happy I went down, man, because we got to loosen up with that little snifter there of whiskey, and it was great.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
let's shift into it now a little bit deeper.
Well, real quick, we didn't go through the other steps. So we have number one is be clear on the niche.
Go ahead.
So out of the next steps from there, walk us through it.
Yeah. So once you get super clear on your niche, you basically have to, again, you've got to be all in with that. You can't just expect to get these calls if you're not following through on that marketing on a consistent basis. Now, again, also the marketing, let's not get it confused with good video. Honestly, because the people who spend a lot of money and put out these good videos and they don't change, and it's just a lifestyle video after a lifestyle video, horses galloping in slow motion. I mean, that means great videos, but it means absolutely nothing if that isn't your entire being, your entire brand, your essence. When I think of somebody, I imagine them and how they make me feel, not necessarily their brand or their marketing specifically. It has to, so you have to incorporate everything about you into this brand. And again, it's easy for me to say because I'm the type of realtor that is providing value for other realtors. It's easy for me. I just hop on things like this. I do other podcasts. I go speak, and I get to cut it up and put it on my Instagram account. And it clicks with some realtors. One thing I might say out of 10 videos is like, damn, that's exactly where I'm at. So it's easier for me. Yeah. However, that's where my passion is. If your passion is hockey, you would find a way to make sure that every single fucking hockey player in your market works with you. You'd find a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's solid. Yeah. So you would say the second one is to be it's like, I think those are like two good points in one almost. Like one is being consistent with what you're doing and don't expect instant gratification. It's like a long-term investment. And the second part is almost being authentic with who you are, with the brand that you're portraying. So that way you're triggering a feeling in somebody, not just creating an image that they don't feel anything by seeing.
Exactly. It's not the 90s, 80s, 70s anymore. You can't just create an image with social media when you're supposed to be on it every day. The real you is going to come out. So might as well leverage that to be your most authentic self.
I love that.
All right, Kiro's known to force people into 3 points. So I hope you have a third.
No, we got the three.
Yeah, that was three.
Clear on your niche. Be super consistent with what it is. Don't expect instant gratification. And the last one is be super authentic with your audience so that they can actually connect and you can trigger an emotion.
I thought you were combining those first two. All right, sweet. I like that. So talk to us a little bit more now about how when you initially, when you were a solo agent, you said that you brought on 3 buyer's agents before you had an admin. You admitted that was probably not the best move. Talk to us about what your team is, what the makeup of your team is now. Like, how many people are on the team? What are the roles? What's that org chart look like?
Yep. So we had 3 realtors, all guys. Maybe that's why it failed. Interesting. So
Now it's
now,
11.
yes, exactly. So we have 12 people total now. We've got a VP of sales, we have director of operations, we have a marketing and transaction coordinator, and then we have our team members. And those team members are spread, 90% of them are in my office here in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and then we have two in just outside of our market in Burlington, and then another one in Muskoka. And so the way the team works now, and this is going to be perfect as, that leads into the title of this webinar, is how to, lead a successful team or grow a successful team in a challenging market, is that they all have to have buy-in. They all have to understand the team's mission, not veer off. Any one person who's not following through with the objectives or the collective objective is a cancer, and it spreads super, super fast. And what you need to do is you need to basically, once you have them all bought in, you need to make that shift. And I'm telling you, I don't know exactly how it works in the States, but our online leads have just went to shit here. It's and I'm not saying, it's not that that all leads aren't shit. It's you, that Tom Ferry, right? But it's we're not spending 40 hours a week trying to convert one person on 1,000 phone calls. No,
Sure.
What we're doing when we opened up this webinar is going back to basics. So what we have is we have people that are bought into the fact that we need to have events, open houses, we need to have education seminars, first-time home buyers, investment seminars, and we need to get people in face-to-face. We need to create real relationships. We need to send client gifts. This year we're going to spend a ton of money on making sure that our clients feel appreciated than we did last year, spending it on people who don't give a shit about us. So
Yeah.
At least one good thing, we're not spending money on online leads anymore. We're putting it into events, which is actually a little bit cheaper. But no, to go back into the structure is, in order for a good team to get all of that done, is you have to have one person or more, or a committee in charge of it. So our director of operations takes that on. All the gifts we're going to give away, the location, the marketing, what the actual booth looks like if we're doing an expo or a real estate show or a charity event, what the entire team wears to the event. Are we all in the same color, the same scheme? And the reason why is because, honestly, how many times, and team leaders listening to this right now, how many times do you look at your calendar and be like, oh my God, we have that event tomorrow. Do we have a giveaway? Do we have a spin wheel? Do we have contact cards? Like, what are we even doing? So, and trust me, I've done that many times. So it's important that you have your team set up in such a way that everybody knows their goals, clear and concise. Director is there to help grow engagement in your community, help set up the technology, all the onboarding. Your marketing and transaction coordinator is just that, somebody who's focusing on your social media, somebody who's focusing on getting the deals sent to clients, et cetera, et cetera. And then your VP of sales is there to manage, support, and train your sales team. Now, that could be you, team leader. That's not how I've set up my business. I've set up my business to have those people in place to focus on those things, so I can focus on the growth. And that's how that structure is set up.
Now, you said you have about
That's
9 or so
important.
agents on the team, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's call it 8 or 9 agents, all full-time?
Yes. You have to be full-time to work here.
Are they all working with buyers and sellers, or some just dedicated buyers agents?
So our VP of sales does all of my listings, all of her listings, and all the team listings that come in. The buyer agents on our team are 90% working with buyers. However, if they convert a lead themselves, they can list the property, but it's co-listed with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And now, what types of leads are you providing these agents with? I know you said that the online leads have sort of gone to shit, but are you providing them with leads?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and which is great, because this is, although you could have a team or a recruit rather, it's like, oh, well, I just interviewed at this team with Remax. They promised me 100 deals a month. Okay, great. How many are you going to close out of that 100? Well, I'll at least get one. Well, bullshit. You're not right. So, but what if I said, okay, we'll give you 1 to 5 leads a month, but they're going to be almost layups, if not, pre-qualified. So what we do is we give them all of our realtor.ca leads. We divvy it up across the team, the open house leads, all the referrals that I get that aren't listings in my own town, buyers or whatever, they go to the team. We have an entire system. Just keep in mind, you can't just take somebody's referred client and pass it to the junior team members. You can't do that. You can't do that. We have a full system on how all of our recruits respond to referral agents, respond to referral requests in Facebook groups. We're the first person, if not the only people, to actually call them. We always do a follow-up email. We call their brokerage. We page them. We send them a gift, whatever. However, if it's me who's getting that referral client, that client is meeting with me and the other agent on a discovery call. We explain that we work together, and we are physically, it's not like that, we're working together. We'll come back for the negotiations, as team leaders say. No, we're there, CC'd, in a group text. We've got it all handled together.
Right.
Yeah. And one thing to notice is that, even Zillow, they brand that they have a 2% conversion ratio off the leads they have. That means that you'd have to get 100 calls or 100 leads from a Zillow for you to convert to. And if you're getting direct leads and essentially you've been cultivating them because they've been watching your content, being able to exchange interactions with you for about a year, so you've essentially cultivated a relationship and you're passing it on. So that's a little bit more of a high intent lead transfer, which is a lot better. And the lower amount of people that they actually have to talk to, the higher quality of service they can deliver to get more repeat referral business. Now, if I was watching this new and I didn't know you, I would probably say, okay, great. So all I have to do is create a bunch of content, be consistent at it, and just pump it out there. And I don't need to practice my sales skills. Now, with the team members, what are some of the development, like skill development things that you're working on with them?
Yes. Okay. So I wake up every morning between 4 and 5 a.m. My first task of the day is to create, not consume. So I'll sit there and I'll formulate my morning email to the team. That's where the training starts kicking in for them for the day. It's mindset, it's development, it's book suggestions, and it's usually what's the word? Timely. So it's something relative to what has gone on that day or what's going on in the market collectively. And then from there, we just got off a 30-day boot camp where we required all of the team members to reach out to 20 new people a day. We started small, so just go on social media, 20 new people a day. Add them on your Facebook, reach out to 20 new people or people that you have on Facebook that you haven't talked to, and you do that every day for 30 days. The results were amazing, by the way. I don't have all the stats in front of me, but we picked up some buyers. We got a couple of CMAs from it. And the important thing is the accountability that we have from our VP of sales to continue those habits. So now I think when we chatted, we had 2 appointments a week. One was on Tuesday where we set our goals and we set our appointment goal and all that good stuff. And then on Friday, we is our accountability sessions. How did we do? And what can we do over the weekend to get those numbers back up if we fell short? What we do now, and again, this is important, guys, team leaders, change. Don't be afraid of change. The people on your team that give you pushback because of change, be very weary. Sometimes I just fucking change whatever just to see what the reaction is.
Yeah.
And again, this is not just for the hell of it. It's because great power comes from change. When you can't get too comfortable. Anyways, getting off track here. But so what happens now is we changed the routine. And we switched it up. And so what we did is we switched our Tuesday meeting to our Monday meeting, first thing in the morning. And I always like Monday meetings. They're the best anyway, so I'm happy that they're back. Now what we've done is every 8 a.m. and every 4 p.m. we have an accountability It's almost, call it a conference call, call it a check-in, whatever you want. It's a messenger group. And what we do is there's no rah-rah. There's no, oh, I plan on doing this today. I'm going to go door knocking. I'm going to do this. No, 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 no. It's, I've got one appointment today. I've got 5 appointments today. I got 0 appointments today. Then by 4 p.m., it's like, okay, that one appointment converted, that one appointment no-showed, and I managed to book 4 more for tonight. So why we do that is because there's truth in numbers. Don't allow your team or yourself to fluff or manipulate the numbers, because at the end of the day, when you're not getting paid, you will be exposed. And that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to wait to be exposed. You want to run it as you would run anything. What gets measured gets improved. I told you that on the last episode that we were on together. And if you are not measuring throughout the day, it's like any period or quarter in any sports game. We don't just keep the score at halftime. It's like, how many did they do? How many? I can't remember. Did they get a touchdown? See, it's important to keep track and keep the people accountable on your team throughout the day.
Yeah,
that's good.
The accountability is a huge thing. One thing I had a question for, I know that we went over it. Go ahead.
Let me just add on that real quick too. I think in this current market where it's harder to put deals together, frankly, it's important for your team members to see other team members putting deals together, right? Because it's easy to be like, oh, well, I didn't put a deal together today, but I mean, the market sucks. And like everybody I know is struggling, right? Mm-hmm. It's sort of a lot more in your face if 8 of your team members see that, this one new rock star agent on the team just put another deal together. It's like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. And I think we all need a little bit of that push to be like, wait a second, that excuse of like, well, the whole market sucks. I'm just going to roll with that today is it's a lot more in your face if you're part of that group. I mean, Kiro and I are in an accountability group where we have to report our numbers every day. And when somebody signs a new listing agreement, they have to show a picture of it. So they'll send a picture, or they'll send even better, they'll send a picture of the old man signing at the kitchen table. And, we all celebrate and sort of salute that person. And you sort of start saying, well, as soon as somebody else signs another one, you're like, oh man, well, I'm only at 2 this month. I gotta get back on the phone or get back to whatever I do to generate business. So I think those check-ins are great.
I like that. I like that picture a lot. We do that for our listings. We'll just snap a picture of the house, but I do like that even with the buyer. Hey, look, out with the buyer right now on a showing. And just so the other team leaders listening to this, don't transition too fast into like a Grant Cardone style sales team. If that's you, that's perfect. That's great. But if that's not you, don't just start to implement that. Like, okay, we have accountability. We have standards. I don't want to say scripts because that's not really us, but we understand the 4 or 5 questions, the 5 W's. We understand why we're asking these questions and what information we're trying to pull. So, because I'm saying this, everything I'm telling you not to do, it's because I did it. And, I tried to, you got to be black and white sometimes, but there are gray areas, especially when you're making those transitions.
Yeah. So one thing that you said early on.
Go ahead, Kara.
The one thing that you said early on, and then you it came full circle right now in a book written by Eric Kaufman, The 4 Virtues of a Leader. They were talking about having everybody unified on one common goal. And when everybody's being able to incorporate that with accountability, every person within that organization gets to be their true self. And now they become a performing team and a performing organism. So your job as a leader is to provide an environment like that so someone can evolve into their true, like the best possible version of themselves, which is great that you have that. And it's not that easy to do. And just one question I have, there's a sales funnel process. So like, for instance, John and I come from a prospecting over the phone base, and you put a prospect in front of us, we'll keep going at it. We'll get it closed. But when you do it through social media or through a different pipeline, that whole thing is so foreign and it's a different skill. Can you briefly just walk us through that funnel and that process for the people who might not be familiar?
Yeah, honestly, it sounds so simple. It's crazy, but it's honestly just being a genuine person and just caring. There's a good quote. If you want to be, what is it? Hold on, I got it. If you want to be
Drum roll.
interesting,
I was waiting for it.
No, I got it. If you want to be interesting, be interested.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I know. Dyslexia, ADD, a whole bunch of problems going on with me. So if I can do this, you can too. So, but what that means is that if I'm genuinely interested in who you are, what you have going on in your life through social media, that's where these conversations go first. How many people actually reach out to me and directly say, Andrew, I want to buy a house. Andrew, I want to sell my house. I'll be honest, a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. However, put that again against the ratio of how many conversations I'm actually having a day, and it's very, very low. Most of these are just, Andrew, how's it going? Oh, your kids are cute. Or I'll message somebody, be like, oh, wow, you're in Ottawa today. That's great. I've never been to that building. Oh my gosh, you just went to that chimney cake bake shop. How was it? I've heard amazing things. That's where the top of funnel starts. And then once they know, like, and trust you enough to give you that, man, I heard the market's crazy. Okay, now we're going into step 2. Or, Andrew, I heard you need 20% down to buy your first home. Okay, so there's step 3. Hey, look, I've got a certain, and what I always try to do at first is I always try to connect them with someone first. Unless, again, don't get me wrong, if it's a direct request, I'm going to hook them up with me or my team. However, if it's a mortgage question or an accounting question, or if it's something to do with rentals or businesses or Airbnbs, I'm not going to automatically take that person and put them in my database and start running follow-up campaigns with them. I'm going to pass them off to who I feel can genuinely help them. And hey, check in a week later. How did that go with Brian from Hot Airbnbs down in Florida? Did you end up connecting with him? Great. How was your experience? Oh, that's fantastic. So it's less direct, but by the time you actually get in front of that person, my closing percentage is 100%. You can close as many people on you as you want on the phone. And again, Canada and in the States are quite different. Cold calling in prospect calling doesn't really work here that well. And again, there's probably some Canadian team leaders that do it fantastic. But with me, anyways, is that by the time they get here, they already know, like, and trust me, they're willing to work with me or my team. And how many times have you guys had where you thought you maybe closed somebody on the phone and then you get to meet them and maybe it didn't work out? Or maybe by the time you're supposed to meet them, they're like, oh, I already bought with John down in Brooklyn. So, again, it has nothing to do with your skill. It just has everything to do with the fact that relationship wasn't fully built yet, where, okay, it might take me a little bit longer, but I'm in this business for a long time. I didn't get into it to not make a sale one day and quit. So I'm here for 10, 20, 30 years, and this person is going to be as well.
Yeah. I love that the realization I always have, especially when we first shot the episode, is that the genuine interest in creating the relationship is like the priority on your side. Meanwhile, I feel like in the Northeast, it's like we go into a bar, we're like, you want to drink? You want to go somewhere else? You want to drink? You want to go somewhere else? Like, we're straight to the point versus like trying to create a relationship. But that's like, it's almost like a shift in mindset
for yourself,
when
Kira.
My bad. You want to drink? You want to go somewhere else? But that's
your
like
lights,
the struggle there.
The lights in your office did just go out, so you trying to
tell me
something?
The persuasion music in the background too. That'd be perfect. Bow chicka wow wow.
Oh, it's motion censored.
Yeah, that's the problem in the corner. All right, we got 10 minutes left. Guys, as we're concluding, if you have any questions, please put them up in the comment section, and then we'll hit Andrew with them as we go through. And yeah, John, I'm sorry I cut you off earlier. What did you want to say?
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, talk to us about some of the agents on your team. Have you guys had success with agents, newer agents, new licensees, or is it more seasoned agents? And what are the requirements to be on the team? Do they have to show up to the office? Do they have to, do a certain amount of transactions per month, per quarter?
Right, right. So all good questions, but for the team leaders who are actively looking to grow their team in a challenging market, it's important that you are holding mandatory in-person meetings. It's super, super crucial. Not only does what they say, their body language, how they fit into the team, but you get to really experience what people are going through. And it's so easy over Zoom or a phone call to be like, I didn't get any deals today. And it's like, how much you don't get to read them.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. That's what we're all about here at the Final Stage team. Our VP of sales can tell if something's going on. And then we go right into our one-on-one. So we have our team meeting at 10, and then we go right into our one-on-ones. And before all of that, we have our managers meeting. So stick to that platform. Make sure that you have a clear agenda in your managers meeting. 5 points, sales, events, updates, marketing, and free question period. You spend 5 minutes on 5 of those points. There's 25 minutes, an extra 5 minutes to get coffee or whatever. You've got that all sorted out. Now, by the time you have your team meeting, you and your leadership team are all on the same page. Everybody's in the office, ready to go. And then you go to your one-on-ones and pry a little bit deeper. We try to praise in public and punish in private, right? Where if they're not really, we have glass walls, okay? So it's not that type. But what the important thing is that we dig down deep to the root of why they're not performing or why they're performing. We want to know what they're doing well that works. So team leaders, don't skip out on that, and make sure the standards that you're holding to them are being held. Or sorry, the standards that you expect are being held. Now you ask for what kind of success with certain recruits or realtors do we find in veterans or new realtors? I'm going to be completely honest with you. We've had success with all groups. The least that I found we had a lot of struggle with is anybody who got their license from 2020 till now. Where
Wow.
and again, it's not their fault. They literally don't know any other business or any other real estate market. Where even me, I joined in this kind of a market back in 2016, where it was booming, multiple offers, and then it went dead. And that's when my sales ability and my willingness to do whatever it took to close a deal, because I knew that I had to or I couldn't survive. I bought a house and gave myself a 6-month closing date because I needed something to hold my feet to the fire. I did it on purpose. I didn't even have a commission check. So we found that working with people that got their license before 2016 or those who are brand new. So if you're actively recruiting, try to find somebody with, that 3 to 5, 6 year experience, or find brand new people. Yes, realtors, when they're brand new, take more time to train. That's fine. That's why we have a 90-day probational period. That means that if you are already licensed, you're taking that 90 days to learn our systems, get 200 names and numbers from your database, input them, run the play, and after 30 days, if you don't have everything set up, we can't move forward. After 60 days, if you made it past the 30 days and you haven't started booking a whole bunch of appointments, we have a threshold, depends on how many of your database, then you can't move past to the 90. And if you haven't closed a deal in your first 90 days, we have to really take a look at your future on the team. So another way we do it as well is that we work with realtors before they get their license. And again, we don't necessarily add them to everything because we still believe in protecting what what our team pays 50% for. However, we like to work with them before they get their license so they can hit the ground running as soon as their license has been sent into the RICO.
Nice.
Nice.
And the one thing that I think is the biggest struggle for team leaders is, as they're growing through this process, is changing the hats, right? From being focused on growth and development, and then on actually, producing in the business as they're going through that process. Can you walk us through any tips and tricks that you've used that helped you?
Sorry, I think you
Do you want me to
cut
repeat
out.
the question?
Yeah, I'm
All right,
trying
so
to get the whole thing froze.
are you
Go ahead.
hearing me now? So as you're growing a team, the biggest struggle is changing the hats, right? From trying to build and grow and trying to actually produce. And I'm sure you went through that whole struggle yourself. Can you walk us through what you did, tips and tricks to overcome that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down to just finding the right people and finding, you're never going to be able to clone yourself. You're never going to be able to replicate yourself. And that was my biggest hurdle, is like I would go through, some of the day to day, and I would look at, some of the stuff that, our leaders would complete, and how they talked and how they, worked through a deal. I'd be like, oh man, or how they posted on social media for some reason really got to me. I don't know why. But again, that's my fault. I didn't set the standards exactly outlined. However, I was still new. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was working through it. And I think the biggest thing was, like, I realized, okay, there's other people in the world that operate differently than I do, which I don't know why. I thought, sales was not a spectrum. You either get it or you don't. And what I realized is that sales is a spectrum. There are different ways to converse. There are different ways to motivate the team, different ways to, post on social media. But so I think that was the biggest thing is, just letting go and realizing, if I wanted to grow, there is no way I would be able to grow in the same position as a team lead. Because again, guys, you got to understand that most team leaders are doing roughly 80% of the business. And if that's true for too long, your business will fail. People will leave, people will come and go, markets will change. You might have a couple of kids like I did. I had 2 kids in COVID. My God, imagine if I had to perform at 80% of my entire income or revenue, we would have been dead. So it's about letting go, but being comfortable with the people you have. So what is it? Fire fast, hire, take long time to hire, whatever that's
Hire
saying.
slow, fire fast.
There you go. See, I'm fucking saying. But the point is that I didn't do that for a long time, and our business really suffered because of it.
No. I have one question for you. If you had to start off with a brand new Instagram account or in a brand new marketplace, which one would you pick?
Shit. Honestly, I think I'd have to go into a new market. I think that's for me is the easiest play.
Yeah. And elaborate
Only
a little bit
because
more
I've
on
done
that.
it.
So,
Yeah, just because I've done it. For me, it's easy to go into a new market and create a brand around yourself that nobody has known. You get to go into a market, you get to assess what all the other deadheads are doing, what all the amazing people are doing, and you get to find your own space in it. And then once you've realized what makes it so special about that market, you can then project that to others outside your market and just replicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's actually a good one.
I don't want to lose my lighted up podcast videos.
That's a good point. All right, since I know it's 5:00 and we said we'd stop at this point. Andrew, if someone wants to reach out to you, send a referral, collaborate with you, connect with you, ask you a question directly in private, what's the best way to do so?
It is easy. At the Andrew Perrie on Instagram. Easiest.
And of course, we'll add that link in the description below. Any takeaway comments that you want to make for the viewers in the audience for the live and for after?
Yeah, honestly, it's just, if I could leave you with one thing, it's stick to your standards and hire good people and just learn to let go.
Love it. Love it.
Andrew,
thank you so much, man.
The best.
We always enjoy spending time with you, collaborating with you. we always learn an immense amount. So thank you so much again for your time, man.
I love it, buddy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time as well.
All right.
Sweet, man.